Phoenix Sun Show.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on another edition of a live Sun Solar panel. My name is Dave King, and I am one of your hosts. My co-host is Zona Hoops. How's it going? Thanks for joining me, man.
Good to be here. The Al McCoy intro gets me fired up every time, so let's do it.
Al's awesome. He recorded that for us years ago. I still use it. I see that guy every single game, and he is just as full of life as he's ever been, man. He's got a long way to go.
Legend.
Wants to cover yet another finals. That's for sure.
Hopefully.
And joining us as a special guest, a recurring special guest, but not often enough for us to pay him, is Paul Richardson of the Sports Cave. PLR, how's it going, man?
Happy Saturday. What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey, we're doing great. We're only a week out of Christmas. Have you guys done all of your Christmas shopping already?
Well, I'm married, so I don't have to do that.
Oh, you're in one of the traditional ones where there's rolls and you don't do the shopping. Is that it?
No, there are rules when it comes to weddings, birthdays, Christmas. I don't buy anything. If you leave it to me, you're getting a gift card. So my wife actually takes time to buy stuff. So I've just let her. She likes to do it. I let her do it. If you ever see a gift from me, you're getting a gift card. Know it. Don't even think about it. Like, oh, he's got to come with a. No, you're getting a gift card.
I know. My kids tell me it's so much more fun just to open a present with a gift receipt in it than I can return, even if I don't like it. It's like now I got the pressure of going to the store that they like to get something, even if they don't like it, and make sure it's got enough value on it that in exchange for something they do want, I've covered at least most of the cost.
See, that's work.
But actually, what I've done in recent years is I just like, look, kids, you're old enough. Just tell me what you want. Give me links. Let me click the link and place the order, and then you'll just act surprised on Christmas Day. That's the way. That's the way it is for us.
Yeah, I put it off, so I'm not looking forward to the last minute shopping crowd.
Oh, you wait until the last second. I made the mistake. Well, it's not a mistake. I guess I did some shopping a little bit with my daughter yesterday at the Scottsdale Fashion Square, and that place was pretty busy, and it was Friday at 5. So obviously a lot of people have thought, oh, we need to go to the mall. It's going to be even worse today, but today I don't necessarily have to do any shopping. I'm just going because I got tickets to go see Spider-Man. Are you guys into the Marvel movies and stuff like that?
Big time.
Yeah. I'll go check it out. I haven't really heard much. I'm trying to avoid all the spoilers, but
that's the thing is my timeline is full of people saying it's awesome.
Yeah.
Luckily, no one's although I've seen a couple of spoilers that I'm trying to ignore and pretend I didn't see. But basically, I'm going because I know spoilers are going to show up because someone's going to get on Twitter and they're going to say, "I have waited long enough. If you haven't seen it yet, it's your own fault." And then they give a spoiler. And for now, people are cool. They're like saying, if you want to talk about the movie, just DM me. But that's going to stop soon enough. People do not have any patience in the world these days.
I have a 10-year-old that loves Spider-Man. So school's out now. So we can go in the middle of the week when there's not crazy long lines and just go in and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, what I like about the Fashion Square is the reserved seats. So I don't have to worry about, I already got the receipt. I already got the seat. I just got to show up right as the movie starts and take my seat and recline and enjoy it. It's not like the old days where you had to go to a movie theater early enough to get the seats you want and then sit there and wait for the movie to start for 20 minutes or something like that, unless you wanted the crappy seats. So I've got the convenient version of going to movies these days, like most of us do. Actually, most theaters now are reserved seats.
Oh, reserve, yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, hey, that was a fun conversation. None of us have seen it. Good. So we're not going to give any spoilers to anybody, anyone here in the chat. All 18 of you so far, and don't put any spoilers in the comments, or I'll have to ban you from the show.
Peter Parker, Spider-Man.
All right, so today we are talking about What's that?
I said Peter
Huh?
Parker is Spider-Man. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Is that a spoiler?
Spoiler.
No, he's not.
Ruined it
Did
for
you
me.
spoil that? Shit. I've been reading Spider-Man comics since I was a kid, which, yes, they did have color print back then. And I've been reading those comics since he was, and I think the current, whatever the heck his name is, I just completely forgot. Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man they've cast so far. But I'm looking forward to seeing what comes to pass on that movie. All right, enough on Spider-Man. You guys came here to talk about the Phoenix Suns, didn't you? Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns. I was just on here a couple of days ago talking about the Phoenix Suns, and now I'm going to come on again and talk about them because we really, really love talking about this team. It's one of the best teams that we've ever seen in the Valley, and there's always something new to talk about. So on today's show, let me just go through, give you guys a heads up on what's coming. We're going to quickly recap the past week of games and talk about our general observations from those games. Then we're going to go through a true or false, a series of quick questions that Zona is going to lead that we're going to be talking about some quick true or false, this or that. Then we're going to talk about Deandre Ayton and his rise as an offensive player. That is really, really nice to see and very necessary for the Suns. And then finally, we're going to preview the upcoming week of games that culminates with no, we are not going to be recording next Saturday on Christmas morning. I have other things to do. But it culminates on the Suns playing the Warriors on Christmas Day, the most exciting regular season game that the Suns will have played in the last decade. So that's our show for today. You guys excited?
Let's do it.
Always.
Now you guys have so much energy. I don't think I can contain you guys. Can you please just calm down long enough for me to be able to do this show? I'd really appreciate it. All right, let's jump into the first section. I'm going to get you guys talking because I've done enough talking already. PLR. The Suns lost to the Clippers on Monday night. What's your takeaway from that? Is that something we should be worried about?
That's a that's a what game. They got them. Suns were off. They were on. It was kind of an oddly placed road game, and I kind of treat basketball as so much different than football. In football, a team could be 12-0, they lose once, and everyone's like, "Oh crap, they're not as good as we thought they were." When it comes to basketball, I always say there's always going to be one every 1 or 2 weeks where you just don't have it. You're missing players, and they're not, and you got them last time, and I just chalk that up to that one. That's really not a indicative of who the Suns are. I just don't think it was their night. And I know that sounds like almost like I'm letting them off the hook, but in basketball, there's nights where it's just not your night. Shots aren't falling for you. Shots that they hit, that they're making, you got a inspired Morris Sr. shooting the ball again against the Suns, and it just wasn't their night. That's kind of what I chalk it up to.
Yeah.
Zona, what's your take?
Totally agree. I think it's going to happen throughout the regular season. There's going to be some hiccups, and that's just what that was. Nothing to panic over. I mean, they're 23-5, and they've had Ayton miss a stretch of games, Booker miss a stretch of games. So, it's nothing to worry about or look too much into. It's just something that's going to happen throughout the course of the regular season. And it's their first time playing the Clippers too since the playoffs, so I'm sure they probably wanted some revenge as well.
Yeah, the Clippers were short people too. I mean, they didn't play Paul George. They didn't play, obviously, Kawhi Leonard's out for the season. There's still no talk about whether he could come back at some point during the year, and he's historically played it really, really safe. He signed a long-term contract with this knee injury. That tells me he's not going to be pushing really hard to come back and play this year, Kawhi Leonard, for the Clippers I'm talking about, because he had been doing a series, and all those stars have been doing a series of 1-and-1 contracts so that they can get a new max number because the cap goes up every summer. But Kawhi Leonard suddenly says, "Nah, I'm good. I'll do a long-term contract," which tells me he's not going to try to play. But Paul George was out as well, leaving the Clippers with kind of a ragtag band of players too. The Suns were without DeAndre Ayton, as well as almost every other center on the roster except JaVale McGee. and as well as every other center on the roster except JaVale McGee. And they were out, obviously, Devin Booker, who's been out for a hamstring injury the last couple of weeks. So the Suns, I mean, have won so many games this year. You're going to have a down game, just as you guys say. So I really think that that is just one of those gotcha games. The Suns weren't ready. The Clippers were ready, and they took advantage, and that's fine. Those games happen. The next game was the very next night. They left LA. They flew to Portland. They got into Portland around 4:30 in the morning or something like that, something crazy like that. Got to sleep anyway, and not earlier than 4 or 5. And they played in Portland, same deficit of players, except DA came back. Deandre Ayton came back. We're going to talk about him later in the show, so we're not going to go into a lot of depth on what DA did for the Suns in the Portland game. But he and Chris Paul were very focused and wanting to get that win for the Suns so they wouldn't lose on a back-to-back. Zona, what other takeaways might you have for that game?
It was definitely a reassuring game after, the Clippers game to come back that strong on the next night on the road against a team that's been struggling, and they really wanted that one. Portland did. So it was an impressive win, and they definitely needed Ayton back, I think. As we saw, him and Chris Paul just kind of took over that game at key moments. And yeah, just kind of reassured that they're who we thought they were after that Clippers loss. So, yeah, just impressive win and really gutty performance on the road.
Yeah, PLR.
You know what? I think that's the sign of a good team. To be honest with you, you lose a game that deep down, even though it was the Clippers night, I'm sure the Suns felt that was a game they should win. And so, what do you do the next night with more adversity? Back to back on the road, and you come in and you beat a team that's reeling, and you go ahead and you knock them out of their misery. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't think Portland's a really good team. I think they have good names. I don't think they're a good team. And the Suns find a way to take advantage of that and win that game. And that's what good teams are supposed to do. So that showed me more than if it was the other way around. So if they had went into LA and beat the Clippers second, it would have been easy to say, wow, they won they lost the second leg of the back-to-back. Don't worry about it because it was the second leg of the back-to-back. They actually did it the reverse way. Good teams do it the reverse way. So I love the way that they put them out. You're on mute, Dave.
Muted.
That was his best point, too.
That was now I forgot it. Now I can't even come back. My two big takeaways from the game. And we're going to talk about DA later. So that's a big one as well. But Chris Paul decided the Suns were not going to lose the second game of a back-to-back. 36-year-old Chris Paul came in, and while his stats did not jump off the page, he had his normal stat line. He just decided the Suns were not going to lose this. He was doing so many things on the court to force the action and to get everybody going, and getting his pick and roll partner DA going offensively really set the tone. And what I thought is, so you've got teams like the Clippers had not been doing well lately. The Blazers had not been doing well lately. And the game that we'll talk about in just a second, the Wizards had not been doing well lately. Well, the Blazers are the team that showed up to actually get a win in that Tuesday night game. They really played well. Dame played really well. And I thought the Suns did a great job of weathering the storm of the Moda Center crowd, or whatever they're called these days. It's Moda Center, I think. It used to be Rose Garden. And then weathering that storm and willing themselves to a victory. They were down 89-83 at one point in the fourth quarter before they came back and actually won that game in the clutch. So they showed off their clutch gene as well. They're now 12-1 in the clutch on the year. 12-1. That's crazy. And that's Chris Paul. And yeah, some people call him crazy, and you might as well. Now, I want us to talk about now one of the developments that did not get a lot of press in that game was that Mikal Bridges did not play a lot at the very end of the fourth quarter and the beginning of the overtime until toward the end of the overtime. What Monty did instead was he played Campaign out there and Cam Johnson on the wings next to Chris Paul and DA and Jay Crowder. What did you guys think of that closing lineup? And do you have any? And Mikal played the next game; he's not hurt. What do you think happened there, Zona? Go.
I think it was just minute management. Like Mikal's played some heavy minutes already this season, and chasing Dame around for 40 plus minutes is just it doesn't sound very fun. So I think Monty, if anything, Monty just wanted to kind of experiment with something and see if it would work, and also give Mikal some rest because it's a long season, and you can't have one of your most important players just run into the ground by the time the playoffs start. So even though he's young, you don't want him playing 40 plus minutes every single night, especially in the role that he's playing, which is, picking up 94 feet, running through screens, taking those hits like night in, night out. So it's nothing crazy. I don't think it's like something he's going to do in games that matter down the stretch, but it's just something that I think could save Mikal some minutes.
PLR?
Sometimes if you have, sometimes if you have a formula and it's working, let it work. I mean, if you can rest Mikal and try something, let it work. There's, it's kind of funny because I think fans get caught up with that more than coaches and players. If you have 5 on the floor and that 5's working, players are like, hey, we're good. We're winning. If you're a team player, you're like, we're good. We're winning. Let's roll with it. I'm fine. Let my brother do his work. I think sometimes on the sideline, we're like, hey, we haven't seen so-and-so. I mean, that happened in the game earlier with Devin. I don't remember what game, but he usually comes in at a certain point in the fourth quarter, and Monty held him out like an extra 4 minutes, and Twitter's like, oh, Devin's not in the game. Where's Devin? Well, it was working. And at the end of the game, I forget who asked the question in the room, but he was like, it was working. So we brought him back later. And I think sometimes we get more caught up in that than the coach and the player. And this is, a 7:28 to go. This is when I sub him in. Well, if the person in the spot is cooking, let him cook. There's no need for the change. So I don't think it was a big deal at all. What they were doing was working.
Yeah, what Monty mentioned at the end of that game, a couple of things came up in passing, because obviously the coach is not going to directly address anything if there's a problem, right? But one thing that he did mention, Monty mentioned, is that Mikal was getting tired. And what happens is you're running through dozens of picks a minute, basically, all the way throughout the game, because that's what the Blazers do, is they set picks like crazy for Dame to get him open. And so Mikal was going through a lot of physical play through in that game, and he was getting tired, and they saw that Dame was going off a little bit early in the fourth quarter, and they just saw that it was a bad series of minutes. And so they gave Mikal a rest, and they saw that it started working. The other thing that happened is that Chris Paul started taking more of an assignment on Dame Lillard, because he talked about after the game, he used to cover Dame Lillard when he was younger all the time. Lately, the Suns have not had Chris Paul playing the other team's best offensive player, because they've got Mikal Bridges, and they want to get length on those guys like Cam Johnson and guys like that just to disrupt them. So a combination of things. Chris Paul probably said, let me take Dame. And second, Mikal was looking tired. And third, Cam Johnson's been making a ton of shots lately, and he's been clutch. And then fourth, Monty also said that he needed a second ball handler out there in Campaign that could bring the ball up, start the offense, attack the defense, and because Chris Paul was getting trapped. So all those things conspired to have Mikal miss a couple of minutes in the fourth and the overtime. But it is weird. We all admit it's weird. And Mikal is most often going to be out there. But in this game, it looked like they really needed a second ball handler, because Devin Booker's been out. So they had to put Campaign in there, and then Cam Johnson's been playing well. So that was an interesting development, and something I don't think we should worry too much about, but it is something to watch if there's a continuing issue. Now, the third game, real quick, we'll just cover is the Wizards game that happened on Thursday night. And basically the Wizards came in and played like a team that had lost 82 games in a row. I don't know. They just looked like they weren't there to play, and the Suns decided they were just going to win the game. And Chris Paul once again took over. In this time, he took over in the first half and beat them into submission mentally. And then the second half wasn't even a contest. The Suns won by 20. They were leading by 20 most of the game. So do you guys have any special comments about that game, or is that kind of the opposite of the Monday game where it's a throwaway?
Wizards
But in a
suck.
good way.
The Wizards suck. The Wizards suck. I mean, they started the year with smoke and mirrors, and people caught on quick. They're just not a good team. And good teams beat bad teams at home, and they beat them convincingly. And that's I know I simplify things sometime, and I don't like break it down in a certain way. But when the Wizards come to town, you at where the Suns are, that should be a circle game. Let's get them. Let's rest our guys. Let's save legs. Let's save minutes. And to me, that's what they did. Good teams beat bad teams, and the Wizards are a bad team.
And the Wizards are a bad team, yeah.
The simple way to put it is like Washington just looked disorganized and the Suns looked organized, and that's pretty much the difference right there. It was just, they looked very bad, and the Suns took advantage of that early. Chris Paul picking up 3 fouls on Aaron Holiday right off the bat was hilarious because Holiday was trying to pick him up full court, and you just kind of saw the smirk on Chris Paul's face. He's like, this guy's not going to guard me. So got him in foul trouble, and from there, just him and Ayton were just feasting again. 24 minutes played for both of them, so that's definitely ideal. This to get those wins where you could rest your stars too.
Yeah, in that game, man, DA had a great stretch toward the end of the second quarter to basically put the Suns up for good. They were kind of scuffling in the second quarter and let the Wizards hang around. And then just suddenly DA had like 4 straight scores after Chris Paul had made a couple of shots too. And suddenly the game was out of reach. So that was a great series and really nice to see DA make an impact offensively in the game because he usually makes his defensive impact. It's nice to see him put both of those two together into one series. So that's the recap. Suns won 1-2 and lost 1 in this past week. At the end of the show, we're going to preview the upcoming games where they have 4 new games. This next section, I'd like to turn it over to Zona. I shared you the show notes. Did you get those open? Please?
Yeah, got them ready.
Okay. And I queued you up, Zona, with 4 true or false questions that you're going to ask us and ask yourself. And we're going to ask the chatters as well, the ballers in the chat. I'd like you guys to be answering these questions with true or false and add your takes. And we'll be sharing those takes on the show. Zona, you're going to run this so I can be our producer for a little bit. Go right ahead.
Sounds good. All right. So the first question, true or false? The NBA will suspend the season at some point. We'll start with Dave and then go over to PLR.
Yeah, so we got dozens of COVID announcements yesterday, dozens across all the NBA. The NBA owners and the Players Union are right now negotiating whether to expand rosters beyond the 15 so that the teams can. The thing is, there's no other NBA players just sitting out there waiting to play. I mean, if Isaiah Thomas is your next best non-NBA player, that's going to be tough. That's rough. But what that also tells me is that the owners have no interest in ever suspending the season again. And they're not going to even suspend individual games, if they don't have to. So the minimum number of players is either 8 or 9 on a team to be available for a game. And the owners are going to do everything they can to make sure that there are 8 or 9 players with the uniform on ready to play in a game, and there isn't going to be any suspension. So my take is there isn't going to be any suspension, good or bad, of the season. And in fact, almost no games will be. They'd rather get the loss and sell the tickets than cancel the games. So that's my take. I think it's false. There will not be a suspension of the season. What do you think, PLR?
Yet, no, hell no, not happening. No chance. The owners are not suspending anything. They are getting their money. If they have to move games, elongate the season, whatever, they are not stopping games. There's something that's happening, and I did not want to be right about this, and I believe it's going to happen. Do you remember Dave, you have a great beard, so you're going to go with me on this one. Back in the day when they would say guys played with flu-like symptoms. Well, about a year and a half ago, I said, you know what? There's going to come a time where if someone isn't coughing or someone isn't sneezing and they're asymptomatic, we're going to get they played with COVID-like symptoms. The day is coming, gentlemen, not just in the NBA and the NFL and the NHL and MLB. If you're vaccinated and you've taken your boosters and you're asymptomatic, you are going to roll out and play. That will happen before they suspend games. I don't want that to happen, but that will happen. You'll see guys out there asymptomatic playing basketball. So no, to answer the question, they will not cancel the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's too much money involved, and the owners aren't gonna we'll probably see some more games postponed, but they're definitely not gonna pause the season or anything like that. I think it's just kind of this winter stretch. Like they kind of knew that they're gonna have to ride out the storm. So once we get past this, hopefully it's not as crazy as it has been the last week or so.
Yeah, I think absolutely they're not going to suspend. They're not even going to limit number of fans in the arenas. I know that there's at least one team that's limiting capacity, but that's the last resort as well.
Toronto, so Canada. I know they have different laws going on.
Yeah. America, we don't do that. So yeah, those Torontans. Okay, so then the big Warthog does say NBA teams need to get more strict on mask wearing. That's absolutely true. We got 20,000 people in the arena and maybe 5 of them are wearing masks. So definitely, I think that's true. I know for the Suns, they require all media and employees to wear masks the whole time. So I've been in a mask the whole time, but the fans are not. So they'll probably get more strict like that. They'll probably reinstitute the you got to do the clear pass thing. They might even want people to show vaccinations at some point, but they're not going to restrict ticket sales, I don't believe, and they're not going to cancel games if they don't have to. So that's definitely
Dave, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, real quick. They're not going to do that. I think you're being very optimistic. Who's going to tell dude with 6 beers in what usher's going to walk up to him and say, hey, put your mask back on? They're not, because they're not going to want that altercation. Even at games today, if you go in, I know my son and I went as a fan to a game, and they said, you got to have a mask to go in. Well, as soon as we walked in, everybody around us took their mask off and no one said anything. So it was like a mask to walk through the door and then they're off. I just don't believe they have the manpower or the want for confrontation to do that. And I look, I'm all for
but what they can do though is they can step up the requests to put them on. They can have the ushers at least gesture to put the mask on, and 90% of the people will listen. Sure, the dude 6 beers in who doesn't believe in wearing the mask or is just, I can't breathe, that kind of thing. They won't be able to enforce that. They probably won't kick people out, but I think they can be more aggressive on at least asking people not just to enter, because a lot of arenas do say that got to have a mask to walk through the doors. Okay, great. Then you rip it off, like you just said. There can be a little bit more aggression there. I'm just saying that there's not going to be a cancellation of the season. That's all, or a suspension or anything like that.
All right. To transition from that, true or false number 2, related to that, do you think the Suns' Christmas Day game is in any jeopardy? We'll start with PLR on this one.
So go ahead.
Only if there's a massive outbreak. I think all the games on Christmas Day would fall under the same, thing, that it would be Thursday or Wednesday or Tuesday. As long as there's no massive outbreak, they're going to try to get that game in. It's Christmas Day. But if they have to play those games, in a perpetual bubble, they don't want to miss that revenue and those guys. So the Suns are the team. The Warriors are the team. Hell, they bumped the LeBron off of Friday for Warriors Suns. Yeah. So they definitely want to get this game in.
Yeah, I think we're going now. Richard in the chat says no, unless there are not enough stars and COVID cases. Here's the thing: that game, Suns versus Warriors, and all the other games on Christmas Day are going to be broadcast. Period. If we're seeing Chandler Hutchison starting at small forward for the Suns in the game, we'll see that. If they have to sign some guys off the street, like another team just signed 4 different players to hardship exceptions for 10-day contracts, that'll happen. You may not see the Suns you're used to or the Warriors you're used to even if there's COVID outbreaks, but you will see those two teams play on Christmas Day. And it's going to happen because revenue is revenue. Ticket sales are ticket sales. They're going to have that game. I put it on the true or false list because there's a worry that, okay, the NBA won't suspend the season, but any individual games might be suspended, like the Bulls last week. Even the Bulls are not going to be suspending games anymore. They're just going to have a bunch of guys off the street. Dude, go to the Suns.com and see if they're actually putting an application on their website for signing up for tryouts. If you play basketball, if you play at the Y at the weekend, there's a chance you'll be able to put on a Suns uniform this year. I'm making this up. Please don't believe me, but you can check just in case they're doing an open tryouts some Saturday, not for the G League team, but for the Suns team to play that night against another team who might be doing this could be scrub season. Who knows? And you know what? There's never been a better day to be a scrub. So watch out, see if teams are doing applications for open tryouts. You may get a chance to play in a Suns uniform this year.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you guys. Don't see it happening. We might need to get Jarrett Jack out of retirement and suit up for the Suns if that's what it takes for them to
have
I think 8 players.
More Jarrett Jack in a uniform than the Suns not playing. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I think all those games on Christmas Day, they'll find a way. They don't care if it's 8v8 and they're signing G Leaguers to 10 days to make it happen. I think it's inevitable.
Yep.
All right.
Brandon Knight's still out there.
Oh, God.
Brandon Knight. Hey, a lot of former Suns are still out there. Dragan Bender is available.
Yeah.
Oh,
Childress?
okay. So I think Marquise Chris is on the Blazers. He just doesn't play. I think. Could be wrong. But would you bring Dragan Bender back to play with the Suns or over putting Jarrett Jack in a uniform? Let's do that.
One night only. One night only. The reunion tour. One night only. The reunion tour. Brandon Knight, Childress, bring the old school guys back. Marquise Chris, Bender. Let's get them all together. One night.
Oh wow, Josh Childress too. Hey, yeah, let's do it.
Tyler Eulis, someone in the chat.
Tyler Eulis, Jim Rose says. Yep. Alec Peters, Iverson Blog says. Yep, there we go. Archie Goodwin, Mark Bryant. Hey, Mark Bryant. Okay, before the game the other day, I don't know if you guys have seen or heard or what, but Deandre Ayton tries to make a half-court underhand shot, right? Two-hand underhand shot from half-court. And most times he actually makes the shot from half-court. It's actually pretty cool. And fans get all excited and they cheer. Guess what happened right after he made the shot the other night? Mark Bryant made a corner three. Suns assistant coach, 45-year-old, I don't know how old he is. Mark Bryant made a corner three. Put him in uniform. He won't be able to run up and down the court. We might have to make it a half-court game. No offense to Mark Bryant, but running with the Wolves in the NBA might be difficult. But man, he would be great in hockey substitution patterns where he could just stay on one side and just sub out, before as the guys are running down the court. That'd be great. Thunder Dan's available. He doesn't coach GCU anymore. I don't think he's got the coaching job right now. So Thunder Dan. Marcin Gortat.
Tom Chambers.
Awesome. Tom Chambers is he can come off the booth.
Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson just pull the hats off.
I'll bet you Eddie Johnson could still score 15 points in a game if he had the chances.
We should sign Ray Allen to a 10-day contract so he can try to get that record back. Just use him as a spot-up shooter.
Hey, nothing personal with Fabio. No, not Mirza Teletovic, because he once again had to retire from NBA for the heart issues or I don't know what the issues were, but they're like sudden attack issues, and I don't think the Suns want to see that happen. Brophy is full of elite athletes. So says Jay, we could just recruit right out of high school. There you go. ASU has some players they can sign to 10-day contract. We got lots of options. Alvin Adams, yeah, he still works for the Suns. He could put on a uniform as well. All right, we're having fun with this one. This should have been a whole segment of who all the Suns could sign to fill out their roster for Christmas Day games. We could put bets out there on that'd be hilarious if the Suns had to do something like that. All right, what do we got for next question there on true or false?
All right, question number 3. Booker will play on Christmas Day. Start with Dave.
So Booker has started to do a little bit more on-court work as far as practicing shooting and stuff like that. As campaign missed a couple of weeks earlier this year, and he was asked about that, about returning and how the Suns go about the return. And basically, they want to go an extra week beyond you feeling anything, and they want to make sure you can do every single move. Like he said, in his case, it was in practice being able to pick up 94 feet on defense and not worry about his hamstring. For Devin Booker, it might be something else. Campaign said it could be a special move that he makes on offense or whatever it is. But there's something that Devin Booker has to feel good about, and the Suns have to feel good about for him to be cleared. Now, that's a whole nother week, and he's already been out 2.5 weeks. So I kind of feel like it's Christmas Day, and he's going to want to be out there. That might be his return game. What do you think, PLR?
Have you guys ever bought someone a gift for Christmas, but they don't get it until the week after, but you have like the coupon for it? So it's on order, but it's not coming. So you know you have the gift, but you're not getting it. So it's not the same feeling. This is Christmas Day. Bright star, bright stage. He is a star of the team. He is the face of the Valley. He will be playing if at all possible. There won't be a wait a week. It could be limited minutes. But he is the gift that's being given by the Suns. They don't want a coupon saying Devin is with the team. Excuse me. He'll play next week. They want to open the gift on Christmas Day. He is the gift on Christmas Day.
Hey, man, there's a lot of women out there who would agree with that. And I heard Iverson Blog says he heard he might come back Tuesday against LA. That's possible. He might not want Christmas to be his very, very first game. But Monty was very clear that he had not done a ton of on-court work yet as of Thursday's game against the Wizards. So that'll have to be a quick ramp up. And then Monty also said that you've got to get yourself back into NBA shape. There's good shape, there's great shape, and then there's NBA shape. And he's going to have to get back into that so he doesn't re-injure something, because you don't want to injure something else because you came back too early. However, Devin Booker keeps himself in great shape. And he might, if he comes back Tuesday, great. I think there's probably 100% chance Devin Booker shows up in that game and plays at least a few minutes for sure. Now, we did hear that Klay Thompson will not be back. So the Warriors are the same Warriors we've seen all year, who also are tied with the Suns for the best record in the NBA. That's going to be a great Christmas game. We'll do a little bit more preview later in the show on that one, but I think definitely Booker plays. What do you think, Zona?
Yeah, I think he will. It takes me back to like opening night. I think it was a couple of years ago when he had that hand injury, and everyone was speculating like he had no training camp, and then all of a sudden he ramps it up and he's ready to go because it's opening night, and he doesn't want to miss that game. So I think take that times 10 for his first Christmas Day game. He's going to want to be out there. There's he'd have to like re-injure himself or like have a setback for that to not happen. So I don't see any chance that he's not out there as long as he continues on this path, and hopefully he can get a game in before that to kind of like rehearse a little bit before he gets on that big stage. But yeah, I think he'll be back out there for sure.
All right. What do we got? We got one more question, or is that it?
Yep. And the last one, true or false, the Suns will have the best record in the NBA on January 1st. We'll start with Dave on this one.
Well, that requires them to beat the Warriors on Christmas Day. Now, what people are remembering is that the Suns lost to the Warriors on that Friday night in that second game when Steph made some shots. However, that was also a second night of a back-to-back on the road for the Suns. When the Suns were rested, they beat the Warriors 3 days earlier. And we get to find out on Christmas Day which game is more indicative of Suns versus Warriors. Was it the Tuesday one where both teams were rested and it was Suns at home, which is also Day. Suns are going to be at home. Or is it more indicative that Friday night game where the Warriors kind of eventually ran over the Suns like they run over all the other teams they've been playing this year? The Warriors are leading the league in point margin because they're blowing teams out in the third quarter and they're shooting like crazy, and Steph is MVP caliber. So we will find out on Christmas Day what game is more indicative of what we're going to see if we had a series Suns versus Warriors. One thing that got noticed on Suns Twitter because it was shared around, but was not really talked about in larger forums, and I don't even think we covered it on Brightside, was in possessions defended directly by Mikal Bridges. Steph Curry still did not make a shot Friday night. Even though he had a much better game Friday night, he had scored 23 points of that one Suns-Warriors game where the Warriors won by almost 20, or maybe it was 21 actually. Steph Curry scored, but it was against other defenders. Mikal still held him without a field goal in the Friday night game, and I think he made one field goal between the two games against Mikal.
That's insane. Yeah, I don't think that's sustainable because Steph's going to get his, but it's still just crazy that he even kept him in Mikal jail for that long.
What do you think, PLR? Are the Suns going to have the best record in the NBA on January 1?
You're going to kill me for this answer. I don't think it matters. I want to answer yes,
true or
no,
false,
but
man. You can't just not answer.
I can't go all political on this. No, false. They will not. True, they will. I don't know. Here's why. Because when they play, I'm curious about. Here's why I'm curious about the game, because the Warriors have guys in protocol. So if they get guys out of protocol, I think it'll be more of a possibility. I mean, they're missing. They're not just missing like guys at the end of the bench. They're missing Jordan Poole and guys that can actually play. And beating up on the Celtics without those guys is a lot different than coming to beat the Suns. So I'll hedge it. If they don't have their full roster, yes, the Suns will have the best record. If they do have their full roster, then I think it'll be questionable for either team. So let me say true for now.
All right. That's our true and false round. Thank you very much for running that, Zona. We're going to take a quick break. No, it's not a Manscaped ad. We don't do Manscaped anymore. Well, some of us do, but we don't have a sponsor named Manscaped anymore. So I'm just going to play a quickie halftime thing to remind you that we do midweek podcasts. This past week, I had Gerald Bourguet on, and we talked about him covering the Suns on the road for the first time in his career. And I'm going to play this real quick before we transition into our third quarter. For those watching this episode on YouTube, I've got some news for you. You're only getting half the story. The Solar Panel Podcast delivers you an additional special episode every Wednesday with a national personality from places like The Ringer, The Athletic, Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NBA.com, and everyone else. You'll hear what the non-locals think about the Suns and the NBA in general. It's a new feed, though. You've got to click some buttons. Forget the old one. Get the new one. Go to your favorite pod app. Search for Solar Panel Podcast with the orange logo. While you're there, subscribe, rate, and review. And if you leave me a 5-star review, I'll give you props on the air. Yeah, if you're sitting there watching this show and you're not aware of or getting notifications on our midweek episodes, get on one of your whatever podcast app you like and sign up to see, because we have some great shows in the middle of the week too. All right, let's start our next section. The next section is I want to talk about Deandre Ayton. Deandre Ayton, what's been a frustrating thing for a lot of fans over the past 3 years is that Ayton is not doing the kind of offense they want to see. The guy averaged 18 points a game as a rookie, a 20-year-old rookie. He averaged 16 points a game, then 14 points a game. His points per game have gone down, but the Suns' winning has gone up and all that. We all know how he sacrificed last year in scoring for the Suns to help them advance all the way to the NBA Finals. This year, his scoring is up again, and he had a great week, actually, since returning from he actually had the flu over past weekend. And since returning from that and a little bit of signs before that, he's had a great week of being a real facilitator in the short pick and roll. And it's just amazing. Like he says, he's picking up things from Frank Kaminsky on being able to pass on the quick pass on the pick and roll, catching it around the free throw line and deciding what to do from there, driving forward into guys, and with the dribble. He's actually using the dribble a lot more. And then you've got he's also getting really good at post ups against smaller guys or even guys his size like Yusuf Nurkic, turning around and doing a one-handed flip shot into the basket. He's got some really great touch there. So these are new offensive wrinkles for him. He spearheaded the Suns' win on Tuesday night when he came back from the flu against Portland. He had 28 points, a season high. And then on Thursday night against the Wizards, the Suns didn't need any of their starters for the second half because the Wizards are so bad. But he had a series. He scored 9 points in the last couple of minutes of the second quarter that just dominated every possession. And he's just been really turning on. That 9 points doesn't sound like a lot, but in the span of 4 possessions, he had 9 points with an and one in there. That's pretty darn good. So PLR, let's start with you. Tell us what you've been seeing from DA and whether you think this is a sign of things to come or if it's just a, hey, that was nice. Now he's going back to his old ways.
You know, when it comes to big men, young big men, their development is always, especially in today's NBA, because old school, you just wanted your big man to go down low and just do what they do, get rough, get tough, rebound, get easy baskets. Nowadays, I like the way they've brought him along slowly. It takes time. And so I'm one of those guys that have preached that they should have drafted DA from the beginning over Luke. I was hard on that bandwagon. And so I like the way he's developing under Mark Bryant and Monty. He's learning how to shoot more, no more fadeaways. We rarely see the catchaway, which I think is just beautiful because that irritated the hell out of me watching him fade from the basket. He's developing low post moves. A lot of that just comes with footwork. And you don't know that as a 20-year-old down at that school in Tucson. So you have to mature, and I like the way he's maturing into a basketball player. I think you guys have always heard the term, this guy's going to be good when he learns how to play. And a lot of people say, well, they're in NBA, they already know how to play. No. You have to learn how to play in the NBA. And it takes time. And I love the way I'm watching some of those highlights. I like the way Deandre plays. He can guard on pick and rolls, which a lot of big men can't do that. Offensively, he can get down on a post. If you leave him open from 15 feet, that's an easy shot, as he calls it. My midi is a layup. I love the way he plays basketball, and I love the maturation. He's just one of my guys. Maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong glasses, but I'm good with everything that's going on with him except fadeaways. When I see that fadeaway, I just want to take a towel and just throw it on the floor and go like, dude, don't fade away. Go at him. But other than that, I'm liking what DA's doing.
What are you, Burgess Meredith in an old Rocky film, throwing the towel?
I just like it. I mean, I understand that big men just move slower. Remember, what's my man in Denver? He didn't come out and just be a MVP candidate the first year. It took him 2-3 years to Jokic to mature. Big men are different. They don't just have the ball and shoot threes left and right. If you want a true big man, they have to develop. I love it.
What do you think, Zona?
Yeah, no, he's been really impressive. And I think, he's someone I followed dating back to Arizona in the draft process as well. And I think in a way, looking back, them playing him out of position as a power forward has helped him because he was forced to guard on the perimeter. Obviously, that only works if you have a coach that can give you confidence to be that defensive anchor and teach you how to be a dominant center defensively, which, he's had in Monty Williams and And I'll even give Igor Kokoskov some credit because one of the first things he said about Ayton was like that he has a chance to be a star defensively and one of the best defensive players in the league. So he tried to build him from the ground up. And at the moment in time, it seemed crazy, but just the progression he's made, guarding on the perimeter and while also, defending at the rim at a pretty high level has been awesome. And in the modern NBA, there's not too many centers that can do that. So, also in the last 6 games without Booker, in 5.5 of those, he's averaged 20 and 10 with 2.5 assists on 58% shooting. So really stepping up without Booker and getting to the line a lot more too. I think he's averaging like 5 attempts per game in that stretch. So yeah, I think right now he's stepping up when they need him to with Book out. So overall, just, taking a look at where he's come from as a rookie and just the progress he's made, it's insane. It's harder for us to see it because like we're there every day watching it happen. But if you just looked at from where he was as a rookie to like where he is right now, it's just a completely transformed player. And he's just so mature now.
Yeah, Long John Silver in the chat comments that he took something from every other center we had. And I wrote an article the other day about that and made a similar comment. So great minds think alike. From Aaron Baines, he learned how to set screens and be vocal on defense. He was very quiet on defense and didn't do a whole lot on defense as a rookie. His second year, he got Aaron Baines as his mentor, basically. And Baines also was one of the first to help Monty instill the every play matters, every game matters, every possession matters. But the biggest things he got from Aaron Baines were being vocal on defense, being loud, and taking ownership of that, and then screen setting. Then from Frank Kaminsky, he's learned how to be more of a passer. He's learned to appreciate that high post, short roll passing that Frank Kaminsky is pretty good at. And then from JaVale McGee, he's learning how to finish a little bit better with a little bit more force, how you can do it in traffic. The Suns had not had a guy when Ayton's been in learning mode that can finish like that on the roll and finish at the rim in traffic. And I think he's learned that from JaVale McGee as well. So he has learned a lot from his backup centers that is just a good sign because he just turned 23 this offseason. He's got a long career ahead of him and he wants to play for the Suns. And the fact that he's been able to put behind him all this contract talk and just focus on what he's doing right now with the Phoenix Suns, I think it's just been incredible. And it's really fun to watch. And I think that does make them a lot more dangerous for the rest of the year and into the playoffs. I want to give credit to, while PLR and Zona were talking, I was showing Jackson Frank is a great follow on Twitter. I was showing his mashup of all of DA's offense in that Portland game where he showed basically every trick in the bag that he's developed. And he just looked really good doing it. He passing, some short rolls, some turnaround hooks, all that was right in there, and finishing at the rim as well. So DA has really developed in that area. I do think he's going to keep those extra shots when Booker comes back. Obviously there's only so many shots in a game. Booker's going to get his shots back. It's really going to be more of a Cam Johnson who's going to lose some of the extra shots he's been getting when Booker's been out. I do think DA is going to get more shots going forward, but it still will only be 12, 13 field goal attempts a game. Last year was 10. The year before that was 15. So he won't get back to being a primary offensive option until like a Chris Paul retires or something like that. But that's okay because we're about winning. We're not about individual players putting up the best stats. We're about winning. Devin Booker's taking less shots per game this year. Chris Paul's taking less shots per game this year. DA is going to get a couple more. Bridges and Cam Johnson, those guys are getting 1 or 2 more. Campaign. What percentage? I'm going to throw this out to you guys. This is Dave doing a stat me, and
Dave, stat me.
What?
Dave, stat me.
I thought I was hiding it. Sorry about that. What percentage more shots in terms of percentage is Campaign taking this year over last year? PLR, what percentage increase in shots? Just throw something out there. Oh, I think he's frozen.
Uh,
Zona.
get, uh,
Well, there we go.
12% more shots.
12% more. What do you think, Zona?
I'll say at 20.
50% more shots this year than
Wow.
last year. Last year he was averaging 6. This year he's averaging 9 shots per game. He's the dude who's probably going to lose his shots when Devin Booker comes back, and Deandre Ayton has developed into this role as the starter. You guys have noticed Campaign's more aggressive this year. He's less interested in passing off. He's more about getting his head down and getting a shot, and that's good for a second unit that needs shooting. Yeah, but 50% more shots than he did a year ago when he was one of the best backup point guards in the league might not be sustainable. So I feel like he's going to lose a couple of shots a game when Booker comes back. And it's okay because he's also shooting really low percentage this year. He's shooting under 40% all over the court. All right, man. Okay, so that is the DA topic. Any other comments you guys want to make on DA before we preview the upcoming week? All right, let's preview the upcoming week.
No, I just
week, the Suns have. Oh, go ahead, Zona. I mean, PLR. What's up?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I just think that more shots anyway as we get more into playoff mode because the game will slow down. So I think they'll concentrate more on going to him when the time calls for it. Right now, again, if it's working, it's working. But in the playoffs, his shots will go up, I believe.
And actually, I do have one thing to add, and it's been driving me crazy for years now. I think it's a deep state NBA has like an agenda against Deandre Ayton with his blocks. I swear,
oh my God,
this happens like probably once every 3 games. He's missing like a block or 2 on the stat sheet, and I just don't get it. I've rewatched games and make sure I'm not going crazy, like just looking for those plays, and it's like he'll have like 2 or 3 blocks, then you look at the stat sheet, he has 0, and I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, is Sarver paying off the statisticians to like lower his contract value or what? Like, what's I don't know.
Yeah, because most of those missing blocks are at home.
Yeah. So his agent, if he has like with his extension coming up, like don't put blocks as like an incentive because he's not going to get them. It just doesn't make sense.
Real quick question from the Ballers before we preview next week. Is a healthy Dario better than Thad Young? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I think
yes,
Thad's probably the better player, but I think Dario's better for the Suns, if that makes sense.
PLR, you say?
Am I the only guy that's not like, I'm just not this Thad Young guy. I keep hearing his name, and I'm on the opposite side of him. I'm not like, wow, we got, even in a buyout, to be honest with you, if there's a buyout that's going to happen, I think it's going to be for, oh God, I just drew a blank. Who did we sign last year in the trade? We let him walk this year. Torrey Craig. I'd rather bring him back in a buyout who knows someone who knows the system, someone that can do a lot. I'm just not, I've seen that Young. It feels like he's been in the league for 40 years. I'm not as sold on him as so many other people are. I'd rather have Dario back. I'd rather have Torrey Craig back. I guess if you just have to and bring someone in a buyout to fill the body because of COVID, fine. But I'm not like all hyped up on Thad Young. I'm not. I'm sorry.
Well, the guy can't shoot for anything. He just cannot shoot. He doesn't even try to shoot, but he's a pretty good passer and he can rebound. I don't know. I definitely think Dario's a better player for the Suns. I think instead though, and you alluded to it with Torrey Craig, I think definitely the Suns need a bigger wing for the rest of if you're going to add another player to the rotation, it's a bigger wing. And we talked about this last week, Zona. Zona had a great article up on Brightside about guys to target with buyouts or light trades like the Torrey Craig, where it's cash considerations or something like that. And you pointed out Kenrich Williams is a great target. He plays right now. Is it OKC he plays for, or is it New Orleans?
He's like the only positive player on OKC right now. Still
Yeah,
crazy.
so it's possible they'll trade him for a future, second round pick, whatever. It's possible we'll get a buyout of Torrey Craig or just a trade period of Torrey Craig, and he signed for 2 years at $10 million, so $5 million a year. That's not bad for Craig for his contributions. Definitely, I think that's the kind of guy they're going to go after instead of a Thad Young who can't shoot. They're going to go after a guy who's basically can be another Jay Crowder type, where he can pick up defensively, power forwards or even small centers, and can shoot the three and can run the floor and all that. So it's funny that we're missing Torrey Craig. I think we also have the romantic hangover from the finals too. There's other guys like Torrey Craig out there that would be great, but that kind of player is what we're thinking about. All right, let's preview the next week's games. I've kept you guys for an hour. Thank you so much for staying with us this past hour. We're going to preview the upcoming games. We have 4 in the next week because we're not going to be broadcasting on Christmas morning, but we will likely, if I can get Zona, if he's got availability, we might do Sunday instead. But definitely the upcoming games this week are to Sunday night. They host the Hornets, Charlotte Hornets. And then they're at the Lakers on Tuesday. Then they host the Thunder, which has that Kenrich Williams. And then Saturday on Christmas Day, they host the Golden State Warriors. Zona, how many games do you think the Suns are going to win this week? The Hornets are a winning team. They've also got LaMelo Ball back. The Lakers have their guys back for the most part. They have COVID issues, but LeBron's playing. Oh, AD just went down with a knee thing. So maybe they're not going to be as healthy. The Thunder are the Thunder, and then the Warriors are the Warriors. So what do you predict this coming week, Zona?
I'm going to go optimistic here. I'm going to say 4-0. I think the Hornets, they're kind of the wild card where if they get hot, they could beat anyone. But, you're at home against them. They're a younger team. Booker might not be there, so that could be a tough one. But you get past that, I think, the Lakers are the Lakers. And, they're kind of reeling a little bit after, they got hot for a little bit. But now with the Davis injury and getting punked by the Timberwolves, I think the Suns could win that one. And then OKC should be an easy win. And then the Christmas Day game, that's what everyone's looking forward to. I think Booker will be back and they'll take that. So let's go 4-0.
All right, 4-0 from Zona. What do you think, PLR? You already didn't want them to have the best record in the NBA by the end of this month, so you must be predicting losses.
See what I'm saying? Last time we did this, you were the negative Nelly, not me. I went 4-0 last time. And you know what? I'm doing 4-0 again. I think they beat the Hornets. The Lakers, you said by January 1st. There's another week of basketball after this week. So I got them. I got them going 4-0. They're going to beat the Hornets. Listen, I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it. Anthony Davis will get hurt getting a Coke out of the refrigerator. He is hurt again. And let's be honest. Everyone talks about LeBron coming back. They only beat 3 teams with winning records with him playing. Every other team they beat with him playing have been sorry-ass teams. Oops, I'm sorry. Sorry about the word. They've been really sorry.
We don't care.
Teams. So, all right. They've been sorry teams. The Suns are not a sorry team. And to be honest with you, there's something about the Suns playing the Lakers and their attitude is like, we don't want to lose to those guys. So I got them going to LA and beating the Lakers. The Thunder, young. I really like the Giddy kid. He's fantastic. He's fun to watch, but they're just not good. And then again with the Warriors, who will be there because they got COVID. But Booker comes back. It's Christmas Day. Stars shine. And the one thing about the Suns I absolutely love, they play big when the lights are the brightest. And that's a lot of teams don't do that. So I expect them to come up big when the lights are the brightest. So I got another 4-0 week this week for the Suns. So I'm with you, Zona.
Wow. You guys going to make me the bad guy again? No, but I don't see any losses.
Wrong
That's the problem.
again.
I want to be the bad guy, but I don't see any losses. I see them. The Hornets. They're going to beat the Hornets. The Lakers are terrible. The Thunder are terrible. And like you say, PLR, the Suns show up biggest on the biggest stage, and they're going to beat the Warriors as well next week. I see the Suns going 4-0 this week because I predicted they would have the best record in the NBA by the end of the month, and this week is going to help solidify that. So they're going 4-0. We're all predicting 4-0. How surprising of a Suns podcast to predict 4-0 week for their Phoenix Suns. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us where we can find you, PLR. Where can they find you during the week?
During the week, the Kave Show, Monday through Friday. Go to thesportscave.com, the easiest way to get it. Kave is with the K. Hit the listen live button at 1 o'clock. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at the Sports Cave, again with the K. And if you follow me on Twitter at PLR on Sports, I do not always talk sports, so watch yourself. Right now, I'm in a feud with Days of Our Lives. We're running a terrible programs, so you never know who I'm in a feud with on PLR on Sports. I like to have fun.
All right, Zona, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can just find me at ZonaHoops _ on Twitter. My work on brightsideofthesun.com and zonahoops.com. And yeah.
All right. Blaze just posted a comment that he can't watch, although the show is almost over, because it's his 40th birthday. So let's all wish everybody in the chat. Let's all wish Blaze a 40th birthday. Happy birthday for his 40th. Good job, Blaze. Enjoy yourself. Watch the show later. This show obviously will be available on YouTube forever and ever. And we'll put the audio version out in a day or two so you guys can listen if for those folks who aren't here watching right now, or if you just want to hear the show again, we'll be out on audio form. So you can hear this. You can just listen back on this on Monday so you can catch everything you might have missed. Do that. Get on that audio feed, subscribe. My name is Dave King. You can find me at Dave King NBA on Twitter. I don't do the other socials that much at all. So just find me on Twitter. You can find my work and Zona's work at brightsideofthesun.com. That's the biggest, best Suns only podcast, or not podcast, but blog out there. And we got a great team of writers on brightsideofthesun.com. We cover the team from all the different angles, have a lot of different voices. It's really fun. I've been doing that for a long, long time. And of course, come back here and watch us next Sunday, the day after Christmas. We'll talk about what our best Christmas presents were, what our worst Christmas presents were, without calling people out, of course, and what we thought of the Christmas Day game against the Warriors. So we'll see you all next week.